Good vibes. Wow.
Wow.
We love it.
This looks like a dating show.
Oh, yeah. On first dates. That's my favorite show. So what do we call this then?
TikTok.
Welcome to Jyoty'S little toolbox. That sounds so disgusting. Trash. Let's get into today's video because it's a different day. Today's video is maybe something that you would think is the opposite of what someone should advise you, but because this is what I apply to my career and it's worked out for the best, I thought I'll share it with you today. Big fat disclaimer, like I've done with all the other videos. Again, this doesn't apply all across the board. This doesn't mean that because it worked for me, it will work for you. But if you find yourself in a similar situation as the one I'm about to describe that I was and am in, then maybe this might be helpful. Don't get it twisted is what we're gonna call today's video. Am I now very loud in the microphone?
You're good.
I'm good. I'm great. No, if you're a Gemini. Or a Leo. Actually, everything I said about Geminis, Leo, same thing. Stay away from me. We've already done a whole video about why radio is great and why it's really helpful for you to get your name out there. But there's some things that maybe you wouldn't have thought to be true. And hopefully whatever I'm about to tell you now is gonna just put things in a different perspective. It doesn't mean you have to follow it, but just think about them and consider it. Don't think that because a certain station is your favorite station and you like to listen to it, that is the right station for you. Think about filling in a gap and making it your own. Don't think that because you are of a certain sound or a subculture or a genre, that radio station seems to heavily support that is the radio station for you. Why? If they already have the best of all those sounds that you feel like you represent, it's gonna be a lot harder for you to get their attention because they already have those genres, those sounds. So why would they double up with someone who does something very similar but isn't maybe as advanced yet? What you're much better off doing is actually researching all the different stations that are out there that you like. Doesn't necessarily has all your favorite DJs, but definitely stands for something and has a programming that you could get into. And here comes the most important part. Try to find a gap. If you play R&B and that's your main thing, why not go for a station where there's only a handful of R&B DJs? Or maybe they have hip hop DJs, but not really someone who proper does an R&B show. You're so much more likely to get their attention at that station than another radio station that has about 20 to 30 or 40 DJs that already cover that sound and do it really well. So that's something that you should think of. What is a station not doing? Something that you could deliver to them, and you need to sell that. Let them know why you are of value, of added value and an asset that they could bring a new listenership to their radio station or nurture one that they already might have but isn't getting exactly what they want. DJing on air. I mentioned in one of the other videos that I do not mix on my radio show. Now again, this doesn't work for everybody. I'll explain to you why it worked for me. I started getting DJ offers and bookings based off of my radio show. It means that it was based off of the type of music that I play, not necessarily of how I play, because people didn't know if I could actually mix two songs together. But what they did know was they liked whatever I was playing and a certain energy and a vibe. Don't think that because you want to be booked as a DJ in a club that you have to do that on your radio show. There's many other ways of showcasing that, like I mentioned before, by just chucking stuff online. If you are way more comfortable with playing music full length and talking over it, feel comfortable with doing that. Also think about it this way. If you are playing the same sets as you would in the club every Thursday evening or every Saturday or every Monday, whenever it is, on the radio, people who live in your local city might not come out to see you that much when they can just tune in and they know they can tune in or even listen back to it. When you're a more established DJ, this is something you don't have to worry about. People will regardless come and see your sets and tune into your radio show as well. But if you're just making everything available left, right, and center, you have to understand that we live in the time of the internet and everyone has access to everything. So if I don't have money to come and see you in the club, I'll just tune into your show instead. Do you know what I mean? So also, again, something to think about. This way you can make yourself known as a selector and as a really good technical DJ out in the club. You do not have to be on an FM station, traditional station, an actual physical station in order to be a host. You can create your own radio shows at home as long as you have the equipment and the skill set to put it all together and make it sound like it was a radio show and just chuck them on the internet. And trust me, as long as you're consistent and you think about branding you will get a following. You have to start with your own little tribe, your circle of friends, and then slowly word will spread. Was that helpful? Part 2. Did you think that was helpful? Don't get it twisted. When it comes to DJing, so many people are gonna watch this video and go, this is utter shite. But just take a second to digest what I've told you, and then you choose whether you want to implement it a little bit or if you still think it's nonsense. That's up to you. The power of no. I've always said this all the time.
Amen.
It goes, are you telling me where my bra's showing? With any work you do, you have to know that by saying no to certain things, you're not dismissing yourself or blocking off opportunities, as long as you know when you're doing it and why you're doing it. If anything, in a lot of situations, you're adding value and you're letting people know that you have a standard and you don't tolerate or accept anything less. Nothing to do with ego. It's either this makes me happy and I think that this is worth it, and the other doesn't. Know when to say no to things. And social media plays a really big role in this. A lot of young DJs or peers or people that we personally know, especially here in London, post all these great sets that they play and for big brands that you think are really cool and you spend a lot of money on them, but you don't know what happens behind closed doors. Some people will say yes to playing a set for a really big brand that has a lot of budget for simply the exposure and maybe a pair of trainers. If you want to make a living out of DJing and you've played a few gigs and you've played out before and you normally already play for money and you feel like that's not something you accept, don't be afraid to say no. Think about it.
Pay your DJ.
Pay your DJ, pay your fucking shooter, and pay your fucking DJ. Unless we're best friends, you know what I'm saying? Then maybe I'll play for free. You have to know your worth. That's like the most important thing. For me, it has a lot to do with exclusivity as well. This is not gonna work for everybody. It has worked so well for me. Come from Amsterdam, based in London. And I have said from the moment I started DJing, my first booking was in London, and it was for someone I love and look up to very much, Jam Supernova, at a very big venue, Bussy Building. It is definitely not where you should play your very first set ever, but you know what? It threw me in the deep end. After that, it's been 2 years and I think I've done, the amount of London DJ sets I've done, you can count on one hand. And actually, most of them have not been in the club, they've all been supporting a live artist. Why I've done that is because I know I'm gonna be living in this city for the foreseeable future. What I'm really afraid of is being disposable or people getting sick of me. What I'm also really afraid of is maybe one day I want to throw my own party and I want them to sell out. So if you can see me every Friday or Saturday just down the road, maybe at some point you're not even gonna try to pay however much I'm asking for to come and see me. Even worse if it's for another promoter. They put me on a bill and no one wants to pay to see me because, oh yeah, I just saw her last Saturday in East. Oh, I saw her last Thursday in South. Think about it. Are you in it for the long run or are you in it for a quick bag? Doesn't mean that when you play all the time in your own city that there is no longevity in it. What I will say is there's only a few who last that long by playing out every week in their own environment to the same people. Something I've also never wanted was to play a set that I'm unhappy with. I will never play to a crowd that I don't want to play to. I will never be briefed and told what to play. Again, if you are someone who does this full time, if you rely on DJing to pay your rent, I first of all salute you and I respect you so much, but you're gonna have to take the gigs in order to keep your lights on. I've always kept a job full time, so I could pick and choose really carefully what I said yes to. It didn't really matter at the start if I was getting 100 quid or 500 quid. At that point, I had a salary that I was living off of anyways that paid my rent. I have to see who else is on the lineup because if there's names on there that I don't want to be associated with musically, not personal, just musically, I can't accept that booking. And the same goes for a certain venue that has a certain reputation maybe. Definitely with brands. I know nowadays there's a lot of pressure through social media to always work with brands. No, that doesn't necessarily add more value to you. You add more value to the brand. So don't feel like you have to DJ for every brand left, right, and center. Also, I'm a 90s baby, so I believe in brand loyalty. You're not gonna see me ever wear Adidas and Nike at the same time. It's just not gonna happen. So I treat my DJing the same way. You're not gonna see me working with brands that don't go well together or that I wouldn't be supporting at the same time anyways. Keep that in mind. Again, doesn't apply to everybody, but know where you're going. Why am I playing this set? What is the next step gonna be? Trust me, you'll thank me later. I hope you thought it was, I'll finish or you finish or you're done. I hope you thought it was helpful. To end it on a lighter note,
Mind that.
sorry, to end it on a lighter note, if this is on YouTube, you have to like it, you have to subscribe to my page. Okay, you don't have to, but it would be really nice. And if you're seeing this on Instagram, you don't have to, but it'd be really nice if you gave me a little follow. And actually, more than anything, just leave a comment or DM me about other subjects that you want to know more about. Talk about this stuff all the time, but I like just being able to send it so you could just, watch it at your own time, and you don't actually have to see me in person, and you can skip when I'm talking nonsense, about dating. I'm turning 30 this year. I would really very much like to be engaged by the end of the year. No pressure.
Woo-wee.
Imagine if I actually got engaged. To what? Be the worst. To what can I? To what?
Bye.
Bye.